Dr. Babagale Jallow is our guest this morning, Thursday, the 23rd of October 2025. Coffee time with Peter Gomez. You referenced the Never Again campaign. Tell us about this campaign and its significance, especially in the democratization process of our country.
Well, the Never Again campaign, did not come out of the blue. It was a very deliberate policy of the Commission to make sure that the reasons why could we have a dictatorship in the Gambia? You know, why was it possible for Jammeh to oppress us for 22 years? You know, the lessons from that had to be known by the people. You know, how can we prevent a recurrence of dictatorship and human rights violations? That was another lesson from the Never Again campaign. And what is the true nature of the relationship between the state and the public? Where does political power reside? Does it reside in the state, you know, or does it reside, you know, and so on and so forth, or does it reside in the people? So the people needed to know exactly what went wrong, how it went wrong, why it went wrong, and how they could prevent a recurrence. And that was behind the logic of the Never Again campaign. So the Never Again campaign was carried out by the Secretariat units, the Youth and Children's Network unit that visited schools, the Women's Affairs unit, the Reconciliation unit. Every unit that went on outreach activities was on a Never Again campaign trail. And you know, we are happy to note, or I'm happy to note, that there is now a critical mass of young people and Gambians who are saying never again to dictatorship in this country. So that was the logic, just to make sure that you know, the people are empowered enough by the end of the process that they can now stand up and say no to the abuse of political power. Okay. Yeah.
Let's come now into politics. There was a time when Dr. Babagale Jallow was linked with you know, a possible bid for the presidency.
Yes.
How much truth was there in that?
It was true. It was true. I considered running for the presidency in the last elections. I realized that I did not have the resources and the capability at the time to do it. You know, and there were other factors too. So I dropped it. I mean, if you want to go into something, you have to be sure that you can really go in and succeed. You don't go into something to fail. And so I realized that if I went into politics at the time, there was no way that I could win. So I withdrew. But I had something to offer, and I still have something to offer to this country. And I did want to run for president, but I decided against it.
In 2021?
2021, yeah.
Do you have any plans for 2026?
No, no plans for 2026 at this point, no. If I had them, I would say it.
2031?
No. Not now. I don't have the plans now.
Okay.
I mean, if I have the plans, I would say it. Okay. Why not?
Okay.
I'm a Gambian. I have a right to run for president, and I have something to offer. I'm sure that some of the political candidates and the leadership in the Gambia do not have more to offer than I do in terms of how to move this country forward. But I don't have plans right now.
So how would you describe the current political and social climate in the Gambia?
Well, it's robust, I must say. You know, there's lots of noise. I would just say, yes, I would just say that I would have preferred a more truthful, a more just, a more honest political discourse. I think the political discourse that I'm seeing around is not healthy at all. It points to a certain level, a troubling level of moral decadence in our society, which is going to increase if people stick to just saying whatever they want, irrespective of what they are saying is true or not, whether it matches the reality or not. People just say whatever they want to please others, to please themselves. I don't know. But the thing is, we need to move away from the politics of lies, from the politics of dishonesty and injustice, to a politics of integrity and truth. That is the only way.
Is that what is dominating the political discourse?
Yes, yes. In my opinion, yes. There is very little honesty, very little truth, very little integrity in our political discourse. People just say whatever they want. They support whoever they want or whatever position they want, not because the position is just or honest or true, but because it's their position or it serves their interest to do that. And that is unhealthy.
And is this happening equally on both the side of the ruling, the parties in government as well as the parties in opposition?
It's ubiquitous it's everywhere in Gambian political discourse. That is just the sad reality. I don't want to point fingers, but I know that it is in Gambian society. It's a Gambian social problem, the Gambian social phenomenon that needs to be checked. That there is a rising level of moral decadence where people on all sides of the political divide do not care as much for truth as for what serves their interest. And that is not healthy.
But these politicians, they are not just talking amongst themselves, they are talking to a people, the majority of us. So what's our role as ordinary Gambians in putting a stop to this, ensuring that this does not continue?
Well, I think speak against it, point out the dangers of dishonesty and fraud and just saying whatever you want, falsehood. It's a sign of decadence, personal decadence that then widens into social decadence, because whatever dirt, whatever lies, whatever falsehood you emit from your mouth actually comes from you. So that means that the rot is inside. So, speak about the dangers of that and speak about the virtues of honesty and truth-seeking, truth speaking in politics. You can't expect to build a healthy society on healthy principles, on healthy discourses. I think I'm really concerned about the level of moral decadence in the society, the level of lack of reverence, lack of commitment to speaking the truth, the level of commitment to just saying whatever you want because it serves your purpose. It doesn't serve the national interest, it doesn't serve the social interest. You see, people think that they can say whatever they want and get away with it. It doesn't happen like that. There are natural laws that we cannot escape. So if you keep on telling lies and saying, whatever you want to please somebody or to satisfy your own ego, you are going to face the consequences someday. There is no doubt about it. It's natural law.
You emphasized the word commitment there. Speaking of commitment, how do you assess the government's commitment to human rights and institutional reform? Because these are, some of the things we hope the TRRC would help, put in place, that it becomes a government that realizes the need for human rights and institutional reform.
Well, for example, if I were to take a scale of 1% to 100%, I probably would give them about 40%. I think
40% is not good enough. As a 40% in any exam is not good enough.
No, yes. I mean, that's my
assessment.
Personal, honest assessment. I think that the fact that, like I said, the Constitution, 1997 Constitution is still in place is wrong. The fact that
there's been a lot of blame game around that. The first time they blamed politicians aligned with the president. The second time, of course, everything was UDP.
Well, I don't want to go into partisan discourse. Like, I don't want to mention parties. I would talk about the government because that is the state. But blame games, I don't want to do that either. I want to talk about the issues as I understand them. So as I understand the political situation, like you said, like I said, I would give the government 40% in terms of respect for human rights, which is a lot compared to what existed under the Jammeh regime. But the fact that the 1997 Constitution exists to this day, and it could have been thrown out the window, is a slap, like I said, in the face of the democratic struggles that we had for 22 years. The fact that there is the Public Order Act, the fact that there is no term limit for the presidency, I think it's a slap in the face of the Gambian people and the Gambian aspirations. So respect for human rights. There is a National Human Rights Commission that is doing a good job of monitoring human rights in the country. People are more free now to express their opinions against the government. I think that would be a plus for them. But they could have done much better if there was the political commitment to the interest of the country as opposed to the interest of personal individuals.
We certainly have people listening in. Perhaps, for instance, reminding you that the journalist you were trying to remember might have been Musa Sedi Khan.
Musa Sedi Khan, yes. Musa Sedi Khan, he was severely tortured,
Yeah.
remember? Yes, Musa Sedi Khan. Thank you, Mr. Sen.
This one coming in. Good morning, Peter. Please ask your guest if inclusion of former peddlers and supporters of Jammeh in the current government is of any help in the maintenance of peace and healthy governance.
Well, I don't think it is. I mean, I wouldn't have done it. If I were the president, I wouldn't have included people, supporters, enablers of the dictators in my government. I think it was a bad idea, and it's not helpful in any way to reshaping, transforming our country. I mean, with all due respect to those individuals who are included in the regime, I think we needed to, turn a clean page and move the country forward. It's not helpful. It's not helpful, for example, to have former APRC stalwarts as the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. That's just the reality. I mean, I'm sorry. I respect these individuals personally, but I don't think they have a place in the new political dispensation for a new democratic Gambia.
Although the reason given for that was to facilitate, reconciliation. Since those two in particular went into, the government, we haven't heard them criticize President Barrow like they used to, and you could say.
Well, reconciliation between who and who? Because when you don't talk about reconciliation in a vacuum, reconciliation between political parties, political players, no reconciliation between the people and the government, or reconciliation between perpetrator and victim. Putting them, appointing former senior officials of the dictatorship into government doesn't reconcile them to the people. And reconciliation is only relevant, as far as I'm concerned, when it involves the victims, the people of this country. So with all due respect to those two individuals, that I don't have any problems with them, but I don't think it was a good idea to have them in the government, in a new democratic dispensation that seeks transformation of this country.
Mm-hmm. One of the reasons you cited for thwarting your 2021 presidential ambition was affordability. I mean, it's become even more expensive now to run for president, because I think you need to put down a fee of what? $2 million? $2
million for a political party, I think.
What do you think about the National Assembly voting in these new election deposits?
Well, I don't think that they explained why they did that. Did they explain it? I mean, I haven't read. Perhaps I missed it, but I think I don't know why they did it. I think it probably is not a good idea. Just let the chaff fall. I mean, let the dry leaves fall. If people want to become president and they have $1 million, which was the initial fee for registration of political parties, let them go ahead and register. But if you impose a particular fee, then you are by default materially de-enfranchising at least a portion of the Gambian electorate, and you might have very good candidates in people who cannot afford $2 million.
Mm-hmm. Let's continue to look at some of the things that dominating public discourse. The Auditor General's findings recently.
Yeah, well, I think that the Auditor General, that's my personal opinion, that he should have been left in his place. I don't think he should have been removed. And even if he was going to be removed, there are constitutional provision steps that needed to be followed that the government did not follow. That is my opinion. The case is in the courts now, it's sub judice, so I do not want to really go into that issue. But in my opinion, it wasn't a wise move to take.
Okay. Well, I reference the reports based on the findings, which we can, talk of. For instance, we had the Chief of Staff and Minister in the Presidency, say the $110 billion discrepancy couldn't happen because if you take the totality of the 3 years that the government was audited, you won't, come to 110, because if on average it's 30 billion per year, times 3 is 90.
Well, I'm not into figures. I don't. I know that there are allegations of corruption. They have to be proven in a court of law, for example, to be validated. For me to subscribe to the fact that there is this discrepancy. Somebody is responsible, has been taken to court, has been found guilty. But as of now, all we have are the figures. So I don't want to speculate on the rightness or wrongness of those figures or the Auditor General's office. There has to be proof in a court of law. And
what do you make of how the government has dealt with allegations of corruption from almost day one, from 2017 to date? I mean, this government has been labeled as corrupt. I mean, to take 8 years to deal with one problem. I mean, how do you assess government's approach to dealing with these allegations of corruption? Because, as you say again, you have to prove that.
Yes, let them try to prove them in court. I mean, if somebody is alleged to have broken the law, and if we are to believe the reports, there are some files on the table, on the desk of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice and the IGP, let them continue with the prosecutions. That's the right thing to do. There is the rule of law. If somebody is alleged to have committed a crime, you don't just keep quiet about it. You take action. Take them to, try them. Find out the evidence. Is it true that somebody stole $100 million? Because that's what the Auditor General alleges. That's what the media alleges. Find out whether it's true or not and deal with the case. But you don't just throw the case under the carpet and move on, because you can't move on. That's the point. You cannot move on from these allegations. You have to deal with them at some point. Whether it's this government or a coming government, they'll have to deal with them. So why not deal with them? I think that they should just make sure that they clear the air. That is their obligation to the Gambian people.
Very good. Yeah. And just finally, what's next for Alhaji Dr. Baba Gale Jallow?
Well, whatever God decides for me is what's next. I don't know. I might go out of here and die on the streets. But I'm here in the country.
God forbid.
God forbid. I don't want to die now, honestly. But I wouldn't say that I have specific plans. I have come back to the Gambia after my fellowship, and I want to serve my country and my continent, and I'm available to serve in whatever capacity I think I can. So I'm here. And if Peter Gomez needs a journalist to come and sweep the floor, I'm happy to do that.
No, journalists don't sweep floors.
Well, okay. What can I say? But yes, I'm here. I don't plan on going back to the U.S. I'm never going back to live in the U.S. I've told my family that, and they don't believe that I don't want to go back to the U.S. I'm like, I don't want to go back to the U.S.
You have a reason for not wanting to go back to the U.S.
I just don't want. I was in exile. Exile is a form of prison. You know that, right? I was in exile in the U.S. for 17 years, and I just got tired of the culture. It's a very ugly culture, very, very ugly. What you are seeing now is the natural, if you like, culture of America. You have very good people, very nice people, but a lot of people who are also racist and bigots, and it's just, there is no life. There is no life. Gambia is much, much better, much sweeter, if you like, than America. If you don't know it, then you want to go to LA and go to
exactly.
America.
I'm saying, I can imagine a lot of young people sitting there and saying especially when they watch the conversation, earlier on YouTube, and seeing two elderly, people, older people, sitting there saying, "Well, Mom, I'm going to Mumbai, America,
I did not Mumbai. I struggled a lot. I did not Mumbai. I went to school. I, got my certificates, and at the earliest opportunity I ran back home, and I'm not going back home. But my experience is different, because in exile you cannot come home. If I came home, what would have happened to me. If I came home during the Jammeh regime, because I wasn't quiet, I was writing, I was speaking at events, But future plans, nothing concrete really. I'm here, that's all I can say, and I'm available to serve in any capacity that I think that I can serve, with a clear conscience. Not any position. I wouldn't accept any position thrown at me. I would see if this is in line with my beliefs, and my conscience would be clear in serving in the role. But other than that, I'm available to Peter if he wanted to.
Not as a cleaner.
To hire a cleaner.
Not as a cleaner, though. A sweeper. Dr. Jallow, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Excellent jam, Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Busol mo fine.
What?
Busol mo fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave acts in Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave, Busol mo fine. Wave, your money is yours.